Calm, focus, happiness. So here we are. I'm sitting here with Dr. Nancy Wiley. Dr. Wiley, what does mindfulness mean to you?
Mm. But I love this question. And, for the longest time, I'm all about meditation. And the end result of meditation is to be the definition of mindful in every moment. So to me, it's being present and aware of who you are in this moment. It's it can be just as okay, as I'm doing this, I'm bringing all my attention into doing that one activity. But I like it even deeper. I like it to be aware of who I am doing that activity. So it all goes back to the studying of really who we are and what we're made of, and then bringing that into the moment.
Oh, I like that. So, Dr. Nancy, would you say you're in mindfulness mode today?
Yeah, I'm human. I mean, I am at this moment. I am 100% conscious. So yes, but I do have times where I fall out, and that is the human condition. And to just love yourself no matter what, and realize, yeah, it's okay. But then just when you can be aware, come back to the present moment, being all of who you are in this moment.
Sometimes that's so true. It's so difficult to just say, well, it's okay that I'm not okay right now, but I'm going
Yeah.
to get through this.
Yes, yes, but it's humanity. I mean, that is why we're here. And to just love ourselves no matter what and
Yeah,
be okay with that. That's the hard thing to teach yourself.
it is.
Self-love, and to love yourself no matter what, and kind of laugh, not at yourself, but just laugh. And that humor, that lightness brings just a levity and an ability to forgive yourself and be right back here in the present moment. So it's like a
Yeah,
full
for
circle.
sure.
I
Yeah,
just
for
went
sure.
full circle. Just,
Well, I say this to my son, I say it to other people. I don't think we laugh enough. Let's
yes,
laugh.
yes. Love laughter. So healing.
Oh, it
Mm,
is. Yeah, it absolutely is. Well, you have done a lot of interesting things, but putting together this book
mm,
filled with compassion. That's
mm,
one of the things that I loved right away is
mm.
how much compassion there is in this book. Was that something that you started off with as a deliberate attempt to include compassion, or is it just because that's who you are?
And so I was inspired to write that book. I just felt it needed to come out. It just and it unfolded in glorious, miraculous ways. Like I never expected it. I'm working in my office on the day of February 14th, 2018. My mom had just passed. We had our funeral the
Mm,
Friday before, and I felt like through the state of trust, which is a very specific state, which I can explain later, but I felt like I could navigate this existence and as human form and living the human experience no matter what. And I saw my dad suffering, my sister, my brother all suffering the passing of my mother, me taking it completely with love and understanding and acceptance,
hmm
which is one of the parts of the state of trust. And then sitting 5 days later, working on patients a mile and a half from Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland. And a mom standing next to me exclaimed, "There's an active shooter at Douglas." And we all went, and then we heard sirens and helicopters. And oh my goodness, we were getting calls from patients that were in it. um,
Wow.
it was just, you can imagine. And then to see the aftermath, six weeks afterwards, really no one came into the office. But I want to tell you about my experience of it. So I was way out of sorts with everything and feeling really undone at the seams. Um, and I would say I suffered through 5 days of this. And finally, I said to myself, I've got to get a hold of myself. I didn't meditate that whole time. And I'm a big meditator. I've been
hmm
meditating for 45 years. I started when I was in high school. So I sat down in meditation and I asked the creator, why does this happen? If everything serves a light and I believe and trust in you and all your goodness and benevolence, why? Tell me why. I mean, I can't, the human mind cannot fathom how this could happen, right?
Yeah.
So I probably did about a 2-hour meditation. I didn't come out of it because I was almost from the minute of the intention to find out why this happens. I got pulled into some sort of a beautiful vortex where I was held and supported and loved and nourished. And I got answers. Why does this happen? And how, from our human mind, we're not able to really process it, but from the perspective of the divine, you can see how it does serve evolution. I mean, it sounds horrific to say, but from the creator's viewpoint, everything serves the light and everything is moving towards an expansive, a better place for all things. And we as the divine, we're part of that. So I got answers, and that's what the book was about. I came out of it realizing I no longer suffer, no matter what. And I thought, wow, this could really be helpful. But at the time, I was still an orthodontist working with patients, didn't really have time, didn't even see how I could help. I longed to help. I knew the information was supposed to help, but I just didn't know in what capacity. Then the kids started committing suicide. And at the time, I had a patient who was a psychiatrist or psychologist. And he said to me, you'll watch, they're going to start committing suicide. I said, I don't understand why. I don't understand it. They're alive. They're okay. They're not the ones that lost their lives. And he said, well, it's something called survivor's guilt and severe anxiety. So I started watching, and it was very hush hush. They did not really promote it. But then one day, I guess 4 people had attempted within a 2-week span. 2 were successful. They decided to have a community meeting with all the leaders, all the doctors, and I heard about it. So I attended. And then they said to me, well, you're an orthodontist. It's not your wheelhouse. So I went back to my practice. I saw all this blank stare in all these patients' eyes, like something was missing from them. And that's post-traumatic stress. They're severely, traumatized by what they saw and experienced, and it affects them in a very drastic way. So that was when, same exact time in January, right before before the shooting, my back started bothering me. And then I found out I had 17 bulging discs and 4 frank herniations. And whenever I would lean over patients, it was actually hurting my body further. So you know what I said? I trust. I trust that I don't know why this is happening to me, but I trust that I'm meant to do something else. I put my practice up for sale. It sold almost right away. Then COVID kind of put a kibosh on the deal a little bit, but it went through. And you won't believe this, but when I'm leaving my practice, I transitioned to the new doctor. And 4 days after my last day seeing patients, I had simultaneously booked an oceanfront condominium for a month so I could just decompress and process things. And I timed it with a spiritual retreat that was 4 days. So my intention for this spiritual retreat, which was 4 days after my last day of seeing patients, was I get my next divine assignment. No clue what it was. Just stepped out into the void with using my book, everything that was going to be in my book, of trusting in this divine source, that everything unfolds perfectly. And if we just relax and allow and don't push or control it, we just step out and trust one step at a time, that magic happens. So I'm in this retreat. On my first day, I'm in a process which each day there would be different teachers with different processes, usually a meditative process. And I hear the words, you're going to write a book on trust. And I said to it, oh my God, why me? I'm a scientist and writing is my weakest point. Why would you pick me? So I argued with it. Day 2, another process, another teacher. you're going to write a book on trust. We've been teaching you this. You know it's your go-to. You know it's your come from. You're going to write a book for us on trust, and it's going to help the world. So day 2, I'm like, well, I know where it's coming from. Who am I to argue with it? I'm just going to sit with it. Day 3, nothing came through. So I'm like, okay, and that's okay too. Sometimes, there's very few times, but it's sometimes in a meditation, I get nothing. And I'm okay with it. You got to be okay with it, because usually I have bells and whistles and fireworks and glorious, exalted states. Day 3, nothing. So I'm okay, fine. Day 4, oh my goodness. This was so far, it came through so clear. You're going to write a book on trust. Here are your chapters. Get up and write this down. So I got up out of the meditation. I wrote and it outlined the book. Then my father got sick on the very next day, and he ended up dying. And I didn't end up starting to write the book for a month later, on the day he died, because I said, if you can write a book about trusting in the divine the day one of your parents dies, that really shows that you're committed to it. So I wrote the book. The book wrote itself in 5 days. So that's the story of the book. And I can't take credit for a lot of in there. It just flowed through me. It's inspired, and divinely inspired.
Wow. Well, it certainly inspired me, I'll tell you that much. And so then you put the book out, and did you have to do a lot of promotion? How did you move forward with the promotion of the book?
Well, that's great. That's a really great question. So Bruce, what I did is I didn't try to push or control anything. I said, how do you want this market? How is this supposed to get out? And it showed me a picture of the planet, and it actually was lighting up like 2/3 of the planet. There was still a portion that's dark, but 2/3 to 3/4 of the planet light up with this knowledge. And it's igniting a massive shift in human consciousness. That's what it told me, what it wanted to do. And I'm just the mouthpiece for it, the spokesman, the vehicle through which it flows. So I said, what do you want to do? So it showed me specific things. I got to do podcasting. I thought that the transmission just of your questions being on this platform, and the vibration of what comes out the mouth and is flowed out into the environment is one, really probably the most important way, is the vibration that is coming out, the words that are flowing out, because I surrender every morning before I get out of bed to be the vehicle through which it flows.
Wow.
So you're part of it. You're a big part of it, Bruce.
Wow. Well, it's certainly incredible. And I was looking through some of the reviews, and someone said, this book has had the most influence on me since I read Eckhart Tolle's The Power of
Mhm.
Now.
Mhm.
And is that a book that you would say has influenced you?
Absolutely. I mean, I would say, okay, the culmination of what comes through me, which goes into me, is maybe thousands of teachers or courses I've listened to. I've read The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle twice. The first time I didn't get it. Second time I did. So as we mature spiritually, I think we become ripe to accept the knowledge in the book. And I'm sure if I read it again, I get even more out of it. That's the way it goes, for me anyway. I get more and more as I become deeper and deeper and surrendered to this energy. Eckhart is certainly a being that's surrendered and flows this energy as well.
Yes. Yes. One of the things is that I saw your book, and it's not long,
Mm-mm.
and I thought, okay, it won't take me long to read through this book, but that was not exactly true, because there was so much on every page, and there was so much thought, and I could just stop at any one point and just allow myself to sit with the thoughts that you had presented. So it doesn't necessarily hit me as a book where I'm just going to whip through it and that's it. It's a book that you can spend a lot of time with this book. I'm sure you've had that feedback from some of your readers.
It will absolutely. It gets deeper and deeper every time you do it. And it also comes with companion meditations and instructions that the more you do it, the deeper and deeper and deeper you go into feeling this energy state, which is so safe. And I mean, it would be so great for your work with bullying, Bruce, where,
Yeah.
to have people feel safe and held and supported and carried and nourished. It is just so deep. And to me, it's a foundational work where for years I came at things above this, like love and coming through like different areas. And I didn't have the actual trust in seeing this energy. But once you see it and know it and come to commune with it and have this one-on-one and see for sure it's 100% real and true, and so it's concrete, but not in like the concrete type of way, but it's so real. And when you see that, you have a more firm foothold or basis of which to build your knowingness, your spirituality. So it's super deep, the book. I know it's short. It wants to be short. It wants, to be non-intimidating. Some books are like 500 pages long, 300 pages long. And this one is meant to be experienced. So not just read with the mind, because, I know mindfulness is mind, but there's two ways human beings come and approach the world. And I would say at least 98% of us are trained to work from our mind or our left brain. And that's not being present in the moment. That's not really mindfulness, even though it's called the mind, like meaning mindfulness. It's the exact opposite, because you're usually in the past or in the future, worried about something. You are not in the present moment. Whereas mindfulness is being present in the present moment. And that is using your consciousness as your come from. So more of a left brain type of way of being present in the moment, where your mind actually is the divine tool it's meant to be. And it's not in the past or in the future. You're here now in the present moment.
Yeah, your mind is definitely the divine tool. I like the way you've put that. Can you tell us about some feedback that you received once you did put the book out there for the universe?
Um, Feedback from humans or
Yes.
humans? Well, my friends loved it. And a lot of, if you go on and read the reviews, I'm like, oh, that's so beautiful. So I'm getting great feedback from it. I would love to have someone say, like, I didn't get this, I didn't get that, because it would help me be better. It helped me figure out how are we going to touch the masses. So I've been on this path for 45 years, and I've gone this way and that way. I started out with transcendental meditation with no seeming, effect on my abilities. Maybe a little bit psychic started coming in where I never had any of that ability before. But I tried holosync with the brain, trying to use science. Holosync is where they try to do brainwave entrainment to get
Yeah.
you to the Buddhist monks like within years. I tried that for 8 years. And I'm sitting here going, when am I going to have a good experience?
Yeah.
It's like, this is so ho-hum and boring. What's up with this? And then I found my favorite teacher, and I've tried very, very many, oh my gosh, every type of meditation you can imagine and way. I found Jetta Mali, and I found her through Learning Strategies, which is a really beautiful company. But she was just getting her start, and she did a 20-week course and then another 12 weeks or 15 weeks after that. And then I started studying mentoring with her.
Hmm.
And wow, I mean, still, those are the most treasured. They make the biggest shifts. And almost from the first meditation with her, I had bells and whistles all the time, every single meditation. I just felt I was going deeper and deeper and deeper. So back to the book. I'm getting great feedback. It's just been out since March 30th. So we're just getting our impact. But people who are reading it are loving it.
And what about non-human feedback?
Well, it's an entity, and it shows me it flies with like angel wings. And if you ever read the book Power versus Force by Dr. David Hawkins, have you ever
Yes,
heard of that
yes, I
book?
have.
It
Yes.
calibrates at 1,000 on that scale. So if my calibration abilities are accurate, it's a divine entity on this planet right now. So it will take off, and it will make the difference it was meant to make. So
Well, I'm interested in you as a child, as a
mm,
7-year-old. Were
mm.
you a child that someone might have thought, oh, someday she will be a great influence to people and help them in a divine way? Do you think that was
No,
this? No,
absolutely
not at
no,
all.
was not at all. In fact, I was completely opposite. I was absorbed by building my left brain.
Uh,
I love horses, and all I wanted was to have a horse. And I would think about it day and night. And eventually, when I was 12, a lady gave me her horse. She had cancer. She was very well to do.
mhm.
And she gave me her beautiful horse. Oh my God, he was fantastic. And he was perfect for me at the time. But then I quickly outgrew his abilities because I just love horses.
Mhm.
So I became interested in coming down this path for enlightenment when I was given a book called The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy, which kind of told me how I created this horse, how this horse came into my life.
Yes.
And I was like, man, I manifested because I did nothing but daydream about having a horse my whole life since I was 4 years old. And once she gave it to me, and I enjoyed the heck out, he was so perfect for me. I could go under his belt. I got him when I was 12. So little kid having a horse, but he was just fantastic. And yeah, he took me up the ladder, but I'm like, how did, this is kind of crazy. Who gets willed a horse? Who gets given a horse like that right out of thin
Yeah,
air?
it doesn't
I'm
happen
like,
often.
no. So that was my first like thought. And I remember at 12, like, I am so lucky. How did I get so lucky? And then I got the book when I was like 16. I saw, oh, I created it. Then right, that's exactly when my mom took me to learn transcendental meditation. So now I'm 16, I'm getting this mind altering book. I'm learning to meditate. And yet my prime objective was to become wealthy enough to be able to afford horses because they're very expensive. And I just wanted to be a horse trainer. My mom said, you're too smart. You got to use your brain. So I went to use my brain to become, something along the medical field. And I just put all my energy into that and developing the left brain, completely the opposite of where I'm sitting right now. Left brain. If you can't see it, you can't scientifically reproduce it and prove it, it's not real. So that was like completely opposite of what I'm doing right now. It's completely opposite, except if you follow quantum physics or the quantum realm. It explains everything. It
Yes.
explains, all of what's happened in my life, and this trust and this source that's hosting all life, all energy. It is the quantum realm. It is the 0 point. And that is where my meditation and all of that has taken me, to that beautiful, rich world. And it's so much more rich than my left brain allows me
Well,
to
I'm so
see.
glad I asked this question because
Yeah.
I've had people on the show who have told me that they believe that horses are one of the most mindful creatures there are.
I would say, why do I like horses so much? Why? What's it about them? And I'm like, it's God incarnate.
Yes.
There's something magical about a horse. Now, I love my dog. I could not imagine a life without a dog, but it's not the same as a horse. And the beast is so big, and it's
Hmm.
something about the connection with the big beast that looks like God incarnate. That is the magic. And I do find their healing. I have a special needs daughter who I was told she'll never walk or talk. She does. But I had her riding, doing therapeutic riding when she was 4, starting at 4,
Hmm.
so that, she could experience the healing. She loves horses. So that's something in the future I think we'll do, or I'll have her do, because of the healing aspect to the horse. Wow. Yeah.
Well, every morning when I go for my run, there is a field of horses beside where I run, and I feel their presence. And
Mm,
like there's just something about the vibrational presence of those horses that are there that I feel like we're connecting.
mm,
And it's not that I'm a horse person, but I do feel the connection.
I can't explain it. When I can explain it, I will be able to verbalize it better. I just don't know the connection. I just know there is this main connection. So that's how I got interested in becoming a doctor and going down the left brain, is the left brain, developing it for the medical. I became an orthodontist. I went to Columbia University, first got a master's in nutrition from them, then my dental degree, then my orthodontic certificate, and then a couple other things afterwards. But that was completely opposite, because if you can't reproduce it, see it, hear it, and quantify it scientifically, not real. And that's where a lot of scientists still are. They believe what, if they were listening to me right now, I think very many of them would think I'm a whack job or something else. But wait, they're telling me that that's why I've been chosen for this message, is because of this. They've told me that for a long time. People will believe me because of my 6 degrees, my 6 degrees and certificates. It brings an authenticity that will break through. So that's kind of where we're at. And you feel it. You know we're
Yes,
breaking through.
I do. Yeah, I
You
do.
know it. Mm-hmm.
Dr. Nancy, your website is trustthedivine.com.
Correct.
And so, Mindful Tribe, check out the website,
Mhm.
trustthedivine.com, but definitely check out the book, Divine Trust.
Yes.
I highly recommend it. It's a wonderful book. And as we move forward in the interview, I want to ask you a question about bullying. You know, I work in that field. Do you have a story about bullying of any kind, whether it's from adulthood or childhood,
Oh
that
my
you can
gosh.
share with us?
Yes, I do. I've never shared this publicly. My family knows it, but in 6th grade, I grew up in a beautiful city called Columbia, Maryland, where they bussed in people from the inner city of Baltimore. And having no exposure of that, there was a gang of girls picking on a little friend of mine, and I was tall for my age. And I had no clue what was going on. I just like, pick on someone your own size. Oh, no, they picked on me. But they were brutal. They were so brutal. There was about 10 of them, and they would find me in the halls. They would wait for me after the for the bus, and the bus line, beat me up.
Oh,
This is
wow.
6th grade. Horrible. And I didn't want to go to school, and I couldn't tell my mom. I like they told, if I said told anyone, I would get beat up more and they'd hurt my family. Well, the only thing that saved me, I had no clue. I had not gone down this journey at all. But there were 2 gang leaders. One shot her boyfriend in 6th grade. She got put away, and the other one became pregnant, and she got sent to a juvenile home. And it broke up the gang. So there was peace in there. But yeah, I was so bullied. And I had no clue, because I was coming from peace and respect and self respect.
Hmm.
But that kind of made my reality, turned it upside down, because I almost didn't want to live at that point. So, yeah, and you couldn't really say it because it sounded so ridiculous. 6th graders, you'd be afraid for your life. And when they somehow, one of them got a gun and shot her boyfriend at 6th grade, that's 12 years old.
Yeah.
12 years old. So, just because the gang broke up, I'm here today, or I probably wouldn't be. They probably would have hurt me in a much more profound way. But I made
Hmm.
it through, and I recovered, although I still remember it. But I do think there are bullies, and I thought, like, if you do a retrospective look at your life and you're brutally honest, you say, okay, well, where did that vibration come from? Where did I see that before this? Because it does 12-year-old is already old. Where did I see that before that? And then I found different things through the light of consciousness and introspective. And once I found the maturity and ability to go into my inner life with my full consciousness and love and acceptance of everything, I found how it started when I was 2 years old on my second birthday.
Oh,
Yeah, started. I mean, we all have core wounds. I'm saying every single human does. That's part of the human condition.
yeah, it
But
is.
when on my second birthday, my grandfather held me on his lap and made me watch a horror movie with Michael Landon, and I was a teenage werewolf, and he made me watch that movie. It was my second birthday, and I remember every single thing, including that whole day and everything from my second birthday forward, because it was such a traumatic experience. And my dad was sitting there next to my mom was in the kitchen with my grandmother, but my dad didn't do anything to help me. And my grandfather said, it's just a movie. It's just a movie. And I couldn't get away. I couldn't get away from him. He was holding me, making me watch the movie.
Oh, wow. That's horrible.
And so that's the vibration that set up. And then I could see different points in my life where that vibration actually came in and out. So with the love of consciousness, going in and standing with love and light and looking at it and forgiving him. He didn't know what he was doing, right? Forgiving everything else that came afterwards, forgiving those girls. And with light and love, it just, the techniques that I teach melt everything in its path. It works for every single thing, every single trauma, and meant to work and help the Parkland shooting students who have lived through that event and help them to, with the power of my light, help them. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Thanks for sharing all that. I really appreciate it. I want to ask you 5 quick answer questions,
Mhm.
Dr. Nancy. And so 30-second answers are perfect. The first one is this: who is one person who has been a powerful mindfulness influence in your life?
Oh, it's Jetta Molly. She's the one who started this. She's the one that really, really brought it into fruition and
Right,
reality. It made what you heard about real.
right, right. How has mindfulness affected your emotions or how you deal with your emotions?
Oh, that's such a beautiful question. So, mindfulness brings me right here into the present moment with the light of my consciousness, which dissolves whatever anxiety is there that I choose to bring into it and look at it with the light of consciousness in the present moment. So, being mindful of it, loving it, choosing to bring light to it. Does that make
Yes.
sense?
Yeah, that totally makes sense. My third question is about breathing, and you've touched on breathing
Mm.
already. Can you sum it up and just tell us a little bit about breathing and the importance of it in your life?
Oh gosh. Okay. So if you're not breathing, you're not in the present moment. And when you're in the past or the future, you're usually holding your breath. It's breathing, becoming present with breath. Breath is God. God is breath in the present moment. It's critical, it's foundational. It is a must. Being breathed in that present moment. Mindfulness, all one and the same.
Yes. You've talked about different authors that have
Mm,
influenced you. Is there a book that comes to mind that you would share
mm.
with us that,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
there is. Paramahansa Yogananda's autobiography of a yogi, super mind expanding. If we could get that like a required reading for our young, oh my gosh, it would plant the seeds that could do exactly what happened with me and what happened with who's the founder of Apple? Who's that? What's Steve Jobs?
Steve? Yeah,
He's the only. It's the only book he had on his phone. The Power of our autobiography of a yogi. It's
right.
that powerful.
Wow. Wow. Yes, Mindful Tribe. Get that book and read that book
Mhm.
as well. And my last question is about an app. Are there any apps that you ever recommend or that you use that can help with mindfulness?
There is one on Jetta Molly's site. It's called Intelligent Life. She has an app that you actually plot where you are in your spiritual development. Are you in survival mode? And she goes based on the seven chakra system. Where are you today? Where are you when you're at your best? Where are you on where you're coming from on a daily? And where are you when you're in your worst moods, your worst way of operating? And it's very enlightening to track your consciousness and your development. It's really beautiful. I just love, I mean, Jetta Molly is oh my gosh, she's probably my favorite teacher I've ever come across. And there's thousands of them.
There are, yeah, definitely. Well, as we wrap up the interview, I want to ask you if you can give us some final words of advice for anyone listening today that is struggling or is
Mm.
experiencing anxiety or stress. What would your words of advice be, Dr. Nancy?
I would say not try. Find someone who can teach you how to come into the present moment, because that is where the beauty, the power, your power lies. And it's freedom from anxiety. Because when you're anxious, you're either thinking about what happened in the past or worried about what's going to happen in the future. And you are not in the present moment. And so, what I want to say to you, Bruce, is that what you teach and being present and mindful now in the present moment is something that's going to help them. So, that would be if you have an app yourself, learning mindfulness. I don't know of any because I go by learning meditation and being present in the moment
Right.
through my techniques and what I've been taught.
Yes. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today, Dr. Nancy. I
Oh,
really
Bruce,
appreciate it.
thank you. It's my pleasure. You are doing so much good on the planet. Thank you so much for having me and for what you're doing, because I literally can feel the vibration going out and changing the fabric of our reality. So thank you for what you do and for having me on here and letting me be a part of your show.
You're very, very welcome. All the best to you, Dr. Nancy. Bye
Same
now.
to you, Bruce. Okay, bye-bye. Thank you.
Yeah.